Where did Smarty Arty find the confidence to insult Sarah's shoes? She should have told him and his beret to get right to fuck. Big Brother UK episode 23, and the house has been divided into vampires and villagers. Now, the night before on the Late and Live show, it showed you Emma originally choosing her team, and this isn't who she chose. She chose Nathan, Baked Potato, and somebody else, and they were quite pleased with herself, but then she was like, no, actually, can I change my mind? And I don't know why they cut that out last night, because Baked Potato's face was a picture. Obviously, Emma thought they were going to get special privileges, and she felt bad for putting them up, and that's why she changed her mind. Hannah was raging that she was on the villager side, and to be honest, I wouldn't have really liked to spend time with Lily, but she was saying that her team was going to lose because she's in there with a Tory and a farmer, and I thought farmers are really hard working, like that didn't make any sense. Big Brother told the housemates that the vampires could only enter the living area if they were invited in by the villagers, but nobody even bothered to ask what would happen if they came in. This is the first time in the whole series that I actually didn't like Hannah, and when the vampires tried to come into the living room, the way they were acting, like I actually started to think of that story that Ali told about the experiment with the university students, because over the years I've read a lot about human behaviour and mind control and social experiments, so that came to mind, and also another one which I've talked about before in a past video, where you put a doctor's coat on somebody and then people were just doing whatever they were told because they thought that somebody was in a position of power. I'm also obsessed with Dan Brown. I've read all his books, I've been to see him 4 times, and he has spoke about mob mentality and how when people act in a certain way, people start to join in, and it's actually quite pathetic. The vampires didn't have any food and they just wanted to the living area to get a smoke, and to be honest, the villagers were just being cunts. I'm trying to not swear as much in case my sound gets removed. Let me just quickly mention how stunning Khaled and Ali looked as vampires. I don't fancy Khaled, obviously, he's too young, but I've always appreciated a man in eye makeup. Ali looked amazing in her witch and vampire costume. She obviously just loves to work a cloak. Ali and Sarah had to do a blood-sucking contest, and she wasn't taking any shit. She was kicking the fuck out of these skeletons. And even though Ali didn't win that, I thought she still done a really excellent job. The vampires were allowed to roam the house once again, and they tried to get into the living area to go for a vape, and they wouldn't let them in, and Emma was raging, right, and she's like, that you're acting like wanks. And on the Late and Live show, they were like, oh, do you think that Emma was just kidding? And I was like, no, she wasn't kidding, she was raging. I don't understand why they thought that it was a joke. But then when Ali said, oh, who do you think was the maddest? And Nathan said Ali. And I was like, no, it was clearly Emma, she was going nuts. When the vampires left again, Lily was like, oh, I think I just outsmarted a psychologist. And I was like, confidence is key, I suppose. Nathan and Dean went up against each other and they had to spill bad blood about the other housemates in order to win blood. And I was gobsmacked. When Big Brother says, who do you think you're least likely to speak to when you get out the house? Dean said Sarah, because her voice does my head in, or she does my head in, or whatever. And then he said, oh, anybody who wears shoes like that, we can't be friends. And I thought, he wears a beret, he wears it in the house. What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? I've got friends that wear Crocs and Uggs, and we're still friends. I have got some questionable fashion sense, and nobody's ever said, oh, I can't be your friend because of the way you dress. I don't know what shoes Sarah wears, but can he really come after her? He's wearing a neckerchief, double denim, and extra wide fit jeans. Sit down. When I was selecting this picture for the background, I thought, is that Dean or Incognito Man? But I recognised the tattoo, so it must be Dean. He answered, who has manipulated people most in the house? And he said Marcello. Now, I personally don't like Marcello, but what he said was absolutely fucking shocking. He said Marcello is everything he hates in a man, and he's masculine, which he doesn't vibe with. Now, I'm sorry, but when he said that, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? If Marcello stood in that room and says, I don't like feminine men, now I must admit that I don't think that Dean is a feminine man, but if he did say that he didn't like feminine men, or he didn't really like gay men, he would be fucked out that house. And when Dean first went into the house, he says, oh, the boys in this house have showed me that not all straight men are vile, or they're not all bad. And I was like, how is this happening? Because if a straight man went into the diary room and said, oh, I think that all gay men are this, or I think that all gay men are that, there would be a fucking uproar. Now, I will be the first one to admit, and you've probably heard me say this if you watch my videos, but I cannot stand lad mentality, toxic masculinity. But to say that you hate people being masculine is disgraceful. When Marcello spoke to him about it later, he said, oh yeah, I said it's everything I hate about somebody outside the house. I didn't mean inside the house, and I felt as if he was trying to backtrack, but I can't even believe that he got away with saying that. Hannah mentioned, and he even talked about it in the Late and Live show, that if a straight man said that about a feminine man, it wouldn't be accepted, and I don't know how he got away with it. One thing that they spoke about in the Late and Live show that I didn't pick up on at the time is that Marcello said, a cook, is that masculine? And they were saying, oh, is he trying to say like a woman's place is in the kitchen? I'm not trying to stick up for Marcello here because he is toxic masculinity, but it's just the fact that Dean said that about masculine men, like in general, I was like, nah. And when he said Marcello was trying to manipulate the house by cooking and cleaning, he should know that Marcello used to be a chef. I've got a friend who's a chef, and she wouldn't let anybody else cook, so he's lucky to even get in the kitchen. Now, I don't really know what Nathan's train of thought was, but he is a Tory, so he probably just made the shit up on the spot. And when he was talking about the most two-faced housemate, he said it was Tom. And we don't get to see a lot of Tom, right? But he's saying, oh, he goes from one group to the other. But that's just called not taking sides. That's just called not being a dick. It didn't make any sense for him to say that. And anytime, like, Lily went to him and says, oh, who had the biscuit off? He says, oh, I'm not grassing them in, or I'm not telling you who. And he doesn't ever take sides. So I don't know how he can be two-faced. Maybe he's just not a complete dick like him. When he answered who do you think's holding back their true self in the house, I was like, oh my god. He's got to bring politics into everything. Have you ever been on social media and reading comments, and it's literally somebody making a birthday card or taking their dog out for a walk, and in the comments there's always that American that's like, oh, they're a liberal, or they're a Trump voter, or whatever, and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Not everything has got to do with politics. Like, calm the fuck down. Poor Cality's sitting there like, what the fuck's going on? I wouldn't talk about politics in the house either. First of all, I'm not really that interested in it, but I specifically wouldn't talk about it with a Tory because we'd end up getting into an argument. Especially a Scottish Tory. Come on to fuck, Nathan. I just went back there to watch a short clip, and I just noticed that Tom looks excellent as a vampire as well. But Big Brother dropped a curse on the house and they could go into the living area. But before they went in, they had been like, don't speak to them when you go in, don't let them think that the way they've been treating us is okay. What happens? Nathan goes up to Emma and she just gives him a cuddle straight away. And it's just forgiven. I'd literally be like that. These are a bunch of cunts. Don't speak to me. Like, yous took it way too far. Yous are fucking brainwashed minions. Yous did exactly what Big Brother thought you were going to do, and you're pathetic. And people might be like, oh, it's just a game. Well, exactly, it is just a game, and the villagers took it way too far. Lily went into the diary room and asked if she could get a new top because she'd put it in chicken curry. And I thought, I hope that was on her plate. Because see, if it was in the pot, I'd have been like, pass. I'm not eating that if she's been near it. We spoke about her dirty socks the other day, and I was like, do you know what, the house is bogging, so our socks are going to be dirty. But they had them on the Late and Live show last night, and they were black as fuck, as if she'd been walking about on coal. And then they showed you a clip here putting her feet in Ali's face, and she was like, oh, they're really pongy, and she was trying to like push her foot away and she wouldn't move it. I'd have been like, fucking get your foot away from me before I kick the head off your fucking shoulders. I hate feet at the best of times, but when they're black bogging, you better not come near me. The winning team get to nominate and they get a luxury shopping budget, and I hope the vampires win because the villagers don't deserve it. Let me know in the comments what you thought of last night's show, and I'll see you again tonight.